Hi everybody, I'm Joey. Well, this video is partly about making this little coffee table, but mainly it's because I spent some money the other week. I bought this Lamello Zeta P2, which has been on my shopping list for a little while. I only found out about them fairly recently, but ever since I have been looking at them and what they can do, so I finally forked out for it. It's about, I think I paid 2,300 New Zealand dollars for the kit and some joiners. So roughly speaking, it's about the same cost as a domino, and it does very similar things to a domino, but really you have to think about the domino for solid timber and the Lamello P2 for paneled timber, and paneled goods, plywood, pre-finished melamines and things like that. So I wanted to really just give a try out and see what it can do. So I thought I'd use up some scraps and make something and see what it's like. So this is that video. So I had one piece of walnut sitting around, so I could dress that down roughly and kind of work out how much timber I could actually get out of it. Sand the faces now because I can't do it later on. So I had this scrap of 25mm birch ply with white HPL. That's probably $150 worth. It's ridiculously expensive stuff. That's why I didn't want to throw it away. So this birch plywood has got a white high pressure laminate on it, and then it also has very thin plastic masking on it to protect it while you're working it. So I can't mark on it because I can't mark onto the plastic film. So I'll add some masking tape. So I'm going to mark on. So for the plywood to walnut connection, I'm using what they call their tenso fitting, and essentially it's a clamp. So once the two halves come together, they form a clamping pressure, so you can essentially glue two pieces together and it will continue to clamp it. So these particular clips, these tenso clips, are meant to be clamps, so they say. So in theory, I can push this into here, and that clamps together. Clean off my glue, and that's it. I can carry on working on this piece with that drying up. So if that is the case, that should be pretty handy. So I could take my pieces right over to the saw and start trimming them to length and cutting the miters. What I really like about this machine versus the domino is that it references the long point of the mitre, and the result is way superior to what a domino can do. For these mitered corners, I'm using the Clamex P14 version of their clip. The 14 references the depth of cut, so it's 14 mil deep. This is kind of what you would call their knockdown hardware, I suppose. You just need a 6mm hole to access the little cam, and it really is a very strong tight joint when you click that cam into position. It really does what you want it to do. So it's a little tricky finding the cam, the Allen key cam. I think it's because this is plywood so thick. I think with the 18mm tests I've done, it's been very easy. You can see the Allen key very easily. And in this case, you can't really see what you're doing. So, because there is about 2mm tolerance to line these things up. So sometimes with these thicker panels, you can't see what you're doing. So just a little bit of Danish oil to make it look pretty. I've still got the masking on the plywood, so I've just used some masking tape where some of that plastic masking had come off. Hopefully it works. I have a feeling that the center strip of walnut had a twist in it and it's twisted the top, so that's why she's got a bit of a rock on it. I just want to break the corner slightly. There's a chip there which is no good, but I just need to break the corner so it's not dead sharp. And you can see it's a bit furry, the masking is still on there. So here is the finished little coffee table. The good thing about the Lamello is that this whole thing took 2 hours, start to finish. I could probably, if I was going to sell it, or if it was for a client, I'd put a few extra coats of finish on the piece of walnut. So that is a pretty big game changer where you can essentially join pieces, glue them together, and continue to work with them. Instead of having to wait that 1 or 2 hours in clamps. And it makes a pretty big difference when you're trying to make a living from making things in the workshop. It's a very big investment, and it has taken me a long time to kind of pull the trigger on buying it. And but for me, it's certainly going to pay itself off pretty quickly, I think. The Domino and the Lamello do cross over in what they can do. But really, the Lamello works on plywood, melamine sheets. Putting kitchens together is what I'm probably going to end up using it for the most, and I already have, and it's really helped out. Like I said, I think it's a game changer for putting carcasses together and pre-finished panels. So anyway, that's the video. That's my take on the Lamello so far. I don't need this anymore. This is just made of scraps, so this will go up to my local charity shop, and someone can have it. So see you later.